Yes, guys. Welcome back to another stream. The battle has begun. You know what's mad is like today, our lawyers were in like this arbitration thing, like fighting it out with the other lawyers. That's actually crazy, man, when you actually think about it like that. Guys, make sure you drop a like on the stream. We've got Bevo with us. We've also got Patrick, who's late. It's not me who's late. It's not Bevo who's late. Patrick is late today, so he's going to be joining us in a few minutes as well. Make sure you guys have smashed the like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well if you're new. Let's have a look who we've got in the building. We've got Mad Dog. We've got Dash. Mojis is here. Artus is here. Good to see you. Imran, Brett, Johan, Itchy. Big up to you, Briggsy. Briggsy's been loving Mercy Kelly as well. I've seen that, bro. Big up to Bill, Karl. In exactly 20 minutes from now, Rodri scored in the Champions League final exactly 1 year ago today. That's actually mad, that, isn't it? That's actually wild. That's crazy. Big up to RGS, Nabil, Athindil, Pokemon, Jordan, KR. SB says, let's get 115 likes for LB. Yes, guys, hit the like button, man. Hit the like button. Big up to Hugh, Aizy, and many, many more. Hopefully, you guys are all doing well. Big up to you, Bevel, for jumping on, bro. Are you well?
Good, thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with this this case. Not because I'm not bothered about the outcome necessarily, because I don't really care that much about the outcome. It's just more the sort of tactics and what's going on. And I don't know if you've seen the news over the last days, but the Premier League have been forced to hand over WhatsApp messages, various different text messages. I assume emails as well. This includes Richard Masters, who's the sort of like the big dog. It's getting serious, mate. It's getting serious. It's getting. I mean, for them to hand over document, hand over text, hand over WhatsApp, it's getting serious.
It's the irony of it is incredible. You know, it started out with this 115 charges, and it was, City have to hand over all the documents and all the proof and this, that, and the other, and then City have just like smacked the reverse Uno card on the table and said, okay, then, okay, well, we want you to provide us any instance where you've referenced the words Man City. And it's just incredible. It's, if I had some popcorn now, wow.
One sec. Let me. I didn't know Hugh wanted to jump on. Let me send Hugh the link as well. Hugh's coming on. Here we go. There you go, Hugh. You can come on. Yeah, no, it's actually mad. You know what's crazy as well, right? Is how it's how this all started with the hacked emails as well. As you sort of, you mentioned earlier, it all started with the hacked emails, and now, obviously, that, like you say, they've got to hand over the WhatsApp messages, man. I just think that, like,
turning, Bray.
Yeah, the tables are they are, Bray. And you know what, as well, right? I'm not being funny here. There's no way they've not said some dodgy shit on that.
No, of course they have.
There's just no way, bro. There's just no way. Yeah,
here he is.
Right, boys. I was tuned in there. I was like, let me just watch a little bit of City Talk. And then you said we're going to talk about the case. This is my favorite topic in the world right now. I love talking about this. I love the piss it's boiling. I love the polarizing it's doing between us and the rest of world football. I think people are worried about Manchester City and what they're doing in this process because it's never been seen before. They've never seen a club so bullish about stances and about situations, about rules, regulations, about everything. So bullish in terms of their, I suppose, disagreement with the way things are running right now. But yeah, let's talk about it. I love it. I'm really excited for these next 2 weeks to pan out, man. I'm going to be all over this shit.
Well, I was saying as well, yeah, there's no way there's nothing dodgy on those WhatsApps and stuff. The thing is, though, yeah, is, as I think Karl just put it in the chat there, can they not just delete the messages? Like, I can delete a WhatsApp, bro. I can delete an email. So what stops them from doing that?
Yeah, so WhatsApps are a little bit more tricky because they're all encrypted anyway. So WhatsApps might be a little bit more tricky to kind of get hold of. But definitely, emails, things like that, they'll, I mean, if you think you're spamming over the course of 10 years plus here, if they have to provide evidence for all of that, you're going back a very long time. So they might be able to delete some things and cover a few things up, but
Mm.
ultimately there's going to be too much out there.
Yeah. You know what as well? What it's also gonna do is it's gonna see what they're saying. So even if they've not said anything necessarily bad, it'll be interesting to see like what they've actually said. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And their whole conversations now are gonna be out there for it for City to see, not everyone to see, because we're not gonna get to see them, unfortunately. But it's gonna be out there for the City lawyers to see. And that makes me think, like, I know people have said, and I've seen your tweet about it, Hugh, as well, about it being separate, but do you think there is any sort of thing in this case where, like, City are doing this to see what they've been saying to help them with 115? Are we confident that it is completely separate? Because, like I say, if they can find something that they've said that goes against City, that could potentially screw up their whole case.
Well, this is where I think it's smart play for Manchester City, because you know the way the 115 is going to go to an independent panel in November. I believe it's November. I'm not sure what the rules are and what will be expected of the Premier Leagues and the Premier League's officials, like your Richard Masters, at that point. Will they be put under pressure at that point to disclose what they've been saying, interactions and emails, etc.? Whereas City are ensuring right now it gets put out in the open. So yeah, they will get an inclination of what the Premier League want to gain from this, what Premier League stance is, and is there any personal agendas? Is there any pressure from exterior sources? If I was, let's say, a part of the, I don't know, for example, let's say I was a Manchester United official and I was constantly putting pressure on Richard Masters or the Premier League to take down Manchester City and charge City and get them found guilty and so on and so forth, I would be worried about what's going to come out of this. We may find other names dragged into this over the next couple of days that we weren't aware of in the first place. There could be pressure coming from all sorts of angles that we weren't aware of in the first place. And the thing with regards to deleting messages and so on and so forth, to my knowledge, look, I'm no Inspector Gadget. I don't think anything is actually ever fully deleted. And I only know this because there was a particular case here in Ireland. I'm not going to name because it was quite a gruesome case, and it's a polarizing outcome. But the people in question who were defending themselves, they tried to delete a lot of evidence via WhatsApp group messages and so on and so forth. They thought they'd covered their tracks, and all of a sudden a little bit of IP address and all this kind of stuff and tech gadget stuff and things that were said that they wish weren't said came out in the open. So I think it's a really smart move for Manchester City, both to target the rules that they are suing the Premier League for, the APT rule, and deeming it to be unlawful and tyranny of the majority, as well as extracting information and evidence that may benefit them both in this case and the one going to the independent panel in November.
Yeah, it's like a win. I just feel like it's a no-lose situation for City. Now, I think it's likely, and I've seen Stefan speaking about this, it's likely that we'll probably lose the case, right? But it's clearly a no-lose situation. And people will go, well, why is it a no-lose situation? Well, City wouldn't have done it if it wasn't a no-lose situation. If the lawyers said to City, yeah, you can sue City, you can take them to, you can sue the Premier League or take them to arbitration, but if you lose, it's going to be really, really bad for the 115. You think they're going to do it?
No.
Obviously not. So clearly, this is a win-win situation, and I think it's just super interesting how they've got a release all the messages, and I don't know exactly how they're going to do it. If it's going to be like a search, like if it's going to be Man City, and they'll see exactly what's been saying. But I just think personally, it's just super interesting, and whatever happens, whether they've been slagging City off or whether they've been bigging up City, which is unlikely, but maybe they have, it's just going to come out, like, for me, just good. Because if it looks bad, if they've been slagging us off, it's going to look like there's some sort of conspiracy which will support City, because that's what they've kind of been saying. And if they've been nice to City, they'll be like, look, like, what's going on here? Why has this happened?
I would be surprised if they haven't been slagging off City to some capacity. I'd be really, really surprised. And there's a multitude of reasons behind that. The first being the Premier League's legal bill has quadrupled over the last year. They've gone from 5 to 20 million in the last year in legal bills. So if you're Richard Masters, if you're the head officials and the entourage regarding the Premier League, and you're just having your daily chat about how this is going and the bills being run up, you're going to be like these fucking wankers from East Manchester. Do you know what I mean? They don't know when to sit down. They don't know when to lie down. They don't know how to take their medicine and take their licks politics. They just keep coming and meeting it head on, paying more to that Lord Panic guy. They don't stop. They're relentless in their pursuit of getting their own name cleared and now attacking us over our own rules. So look, if you're human at all, you imagine it's you in that situation, LB. Like, you're going to be texting your boys being like, these bastards, man, they just don't know when to stop.
I just don't think it's as simple as people are making out. In the sense that I think there's more going on. I don't think this is just about City challenging the rules. I think maybe they do genuinely think that the rules are not right, and maybe they do want to sue them for damages. But I personally don't believe that's it. I think there's something else going on here that City are looking at, and I think it's something. I think they're trying to expose something. I don't know what they're trying to do, but I just don't think it's just City. City don't like this rule. That's why they're doing it, and they're challenging the AP2 rule, as Hugh said, and then they want the damages. I just don't think it's as simple as that. Yes, I think that they are legit going for that, but I think that there's something else going on, and maybe we'll find out in due course what that is. Probably not until after the case. It'll be interesting to see if anything gets leaked from this.
Well, as we know, City have a crazy legal team right now, don't they? That they're pumping a huge amount of money into. They have some of the best lawyers in the world, not just in a football sense, but in the world on this case. And there's no doubt that when the charges first landed on our doorstep in February 2023, I think it was, that they devised a plan for this. They devised a long-term plan on how they can get the best outcome possible in come November. They've obviously received the legal advice from their own legal team that, look, there is something to gain here. There's some ulterior motive that we can chase here, whilst also challenging what we, on the surface of things, want to challenge, which is the APT rule. We want to receive compensation for the damages, and just challenge the overall structure and monopoly, that I call it, of the Premier League. So yeah, I think we're going to learn a lot over the course of the next 2 weeks, and it may shape and help people to get a better idea of how the November situation is going to pan out. Even though they're not directly interlinked, City would not do this without some sort of an inclination that they were going to benefit from this. Even if they lost the case, you might lose the battle to win the war type situation. We could lose this first case, but when the big war comes on down the line in November, we may have done enough groundwork to help ourselves.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't think it's as simple as City are just going after this rule, because listen, they might have a case. I mean, when you put forward the City argument,
we don't need to challenge this rule. We're a self-sustaining football club as it is. If this APT rule stays in, we're still mega rich. Do you know what I'm saying? We're still mega rich.
Well, that's why I said, bro, that this whole thing has kind of been blown up a little bit in the wrong direction, because people keep on looking at the outcome and saying, if City win, football's dead. Well, hang on a minute. This rule only came into force. When was it voted in like February or something, or whatever it was? I can't remember exactly when it was, but it's not been decades. It's been like a couple, maybe a year or two. I don't know exactly the date. So that's clearly BS. What we're saying, like, football was dead until this rule came in. No, and people are saying, if City win the case, if the Premier League win the case, then that's really bad for City. I don't think it is, because, like you just said, Hugh, we don't need that rule anymore. We are, according to the club, self-sustaining. Now, whether rival fans want to believe that or not, it's kind of irrelevant, because unless you can prove that these sponsorships are dodgy, then you're just barking at a brick wall, mate. Like, no one cares. Let's be honest. Like, no one's listening to you. All these people on Twitter, this guy in the chat, Adam, no one cares, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just waffling and you're just wasting energy that no one's listening. Richard Masters ain't listening to you on Twitter. No one's listening to you. So unless you can prove it, it's irrelevant. And that's why I don't believe that it's as simple as City want this case, City want this rule gone. They probably do want the rule gone, but I think there's something else. Now, again, whether it's that they want to see these emails, they want to see these texts, these WhatsApps that are now having to be released, whether it's something else that I don't know. But I think we'll find out in due course.
I completely agree with both of you. What I would say is, Hugh mentioned that they've been prepared since, obviously, we found out about the 115. I think it goes back even further than that. I think this is something that they will have been preparing for since they first found out about UEFA, because I think it was inevitable that after UEFA, the Premier League were going to come for us as well. And I think that this is something that they've been planning for a very, very long time.
Now, it's a good comment here from Jack Lewis. Now, apparently, people are saying that these text messages are actually for the 115 case. So if it's that, I mean, it's irrelevant. The fact is they're still getting the information. But when it comes to this trial that's on right now, I still think that something's going to go on here. I think they'll get a little bit of information, and 100% for me, it's a win-win for City. It's definitely a no-lose. Now, again, if we lose the case, which people are saying is likely City going to lose the case, the media will blow it up, right? The media will say, proof we're guilty. You'll see all these people on Twitter saying, this is evidence City have cheated. It's like, what? No, it's not. The media will blow it up if we lose this case, which is possible, and to some people probable, that this is terrible for us, yeah? But I just don't think City would have done this. There's only two reasons they would have done this, right? One is because we're literally being backed in the corner and they try to do anything possible to try and help us out for the 115, right? Let's just put it out there as a potential realistic thing. Or two, they're going on the attack and that they actually feel that they can get something from this trial. And people say, oh, well, City just try to tie up the Premier League in knots ahead of the 115 case. Stefan said it right. Panic's apparently working on this case for City. So what's going on now? Like, are we now being tied up in knots as well? I just think it's a little bit silly, man. I do.
I think.
Go on, Bevo.
I think we need to. I think we need to go out all guns blazing. I think we need to go out on the attack. You listen to the bollocks that Simon Jordan was talking about on TalkSport the other day, and it's just like. It's just one thing after another, and it's just constantly discriminating City. And, it's this whole thing about, you're innocent until proven guilty. Well, not in the eyes of the media. It's you're guilty until you're proven innocent. And it's just the wrong way to go about it. You've got these massive, massive platforms like TalkSport and, the Overlap and all these various different outlets. And they're just banging on about, City are guilty because of this reason, and City are guilty because of that reason. And if it was them, I'd be expelling them from the league. And it's just like, you've already made your mind up. It doesn't matter what happens. In your eyes, the outcome will always be that we're guilty.
But I think they've made a bit of a mistake there, though, because now you put City in a position where.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. We need to go after them.
I think that's why if the media would have been like, let's chill on City, let's see what happens in the case. They might be all right. Like, we're innocent until proven guilty. Then City might have been trying to protect that image, but the image is so trashed because what the media have done. City are kind of like, I seen some guy on Twitter put City after City launched this case this week and next week. See some guy on Twitter put City are fast becoming the most hated club in the country. I was like, bro, we're already the most hated club in the country. What are you waffling about, you weapon? You know what I mean? Like, this is why I think that it's a bad mistake what the Premier League have done and the media, because it sort of put City in a position where it's like, who cares if the whole country hates us? Who cares if we're getting attacked from every single journalist? They all hate us anyway. No one believes us. Let's just, we genuinely believe this rule is nonsense. If we genuinely believe that the Premier League are doing this on purpose and that teams are ganging up, hence tyranny of the majority against us unfairly, let's just full send it.
Well, I'm not being funny, but this is over a game of football. This is, this is in terms of what's actually going on in the world, it is very minor. There's a pretty well-known sponsor for a pretty well-known club who allegedly have been funding things that they shouldn't have, been funding. And now, did you hear anything of that? It was kind of brushed under the carpet.
I think it come out the same day, did it not?
Yeah, well, this is the thing.
Which is quite interesting timing, isn't it?
It got brushed under the carpet, and it was like, 115, naughty City, and it's like,
Yeah, no, it's actually wild. It's actually wild. Look, big up to Tinsay as well. He sent it to super chatting earlier on. I missed it. Says best outcome is the government steps in before the Premier League gets dissolved. Listen, the government, if they're going to step in with an independent regulator, again, I find it hilarious. Did you see that Labour MP in Liverpool?
I did, yeah.
Do you see him chatting shit? The guy was like, the guy said, this is ridiculous from Manchester City. You know what I mean? And I think he had a bit of a pop at the fans, and he was like, City are doing what they want. This is why we need an independent regulator right now. And the amount of City fans who just absolutely cooked the guy and was like, bro, you know, City were the only team in the Premier League that wanted an independent regulator. What are you waffling about, mate? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now that, to be honest with you, does scare me to a certain degree, because for me personally, I think anything a government gets involved with typically goes wrong. But if City want it, City feel that, I don't know if you guys know that Kieran Maguire, I don't know whether he's like rated by City fans or whatever. I listened to a podcast that he done the other day, and it's I thought he was quite balanced, to be honest with you. But even he said City are the only team in the Premier League that want an independent regulator. And the reason apparently City want an independent regulator is because they feel that they will get a better deal with the Premier League. It's obviously self-interest, right? Like Pep Guardiola said about other teams, there's no friends or enemies. They're just interests. City want an independent regulator. Why? Because they'll feel it'll be more beneficial to them. But obviously, right now, they feel that the Premier League is just ganging up on them. And one thing that I would say is, you know those FFP rules, right? We went from, I think, the second or third best placed team in the FFP rules. I think only Brighton and I think maybe one other team was below us in terms of like, we are literally cooking. We've got the revenue. Our spend is in order. We went from the second or third best team, and overnight, when they put that anchor in place, which has now been voted in, we're now like second worst.
Yeah.
We went from second to third best place in the Premier League. Yeah, I think it was on like 69% of our like our spend. Yeah, it went from second or third place to the second worst, only behind Chelsea, overnight with literally one rule change. And City are looking at that saying, hang on a minute, you put this rule in place. We worked really hard to order the club to get everything in order, get our revenue up, get our spend down. You know what I mean? And now overnight, with one rule change, the anchor, we're now screwed and now we're second highest. And that's probably what City is saying. The tyranny of the majority, that's what they say. Because people will go, it's just democracy, lads. No, it's not just democracy, though, is it? You know what I mean? If you feel that you're literally in the minority and nothing you say gets voted in because you're in the minority, then it's not a democracy, bruv.
Well, this is what Simon Jordan came out and said. You know, he said, "Oh, what is it that you want? The tyranny of the minority." And it's like, well, no, we just want fair play. We just want everybody to be able to have a level playing field, where if investors come into that company, that they're entitled, or that club, they're entitled to spend a certain amount of money to a degree. And it's just, we want a level playing field. And you know, these media outlets try to spin it as, oh, bad City, we're stopping £900 million going into grassroots football.
That was embarrassing. That was embarrassing. That was a disgrace. I don't know if you guys in the chat seen it, but what Bevel basically talking about, some CEO of a Premier League club has come out and said that the reason why the Premier League hasn't got a financial deal with the Championship, League One and League Two yet is because City's legal cases that were putting it on hold. Like I tweeted out and said, how dead is that deal with the Premier League and the league and the EFL if one legal case can derail the whole thing? Apparently it's a £900 million deal across a period of years. That's what the Premier League is going to be funneling down to the Championship, League One and League Two. How crap is that deal? How bad is it structured? Where if one legal case wins against the Premier League, the whole thing is just absolutely muddied. It's wild. Anyway, sorry, Pat. Welcome to the panel.
Thanks, LB. Good to be here.
We're currently mid-rant. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I figured as much. Yeah.
I don't know what's your thoughts on the whole everything that's been going on, though.
Look, I think what I can say has already been said several times over. I mean, this is just, you get the sense that, you know, it's almost like we're in the middle of a motor race, and then some authorities come in and decide to put a parking clamp on our back wheel. If I could put it as an analogy, but if one describes it perfectly, was what Martin been telling quite a few channels over the last few days was, you know, if you're a member of an exclusive hunting club, and they all decide to go out and hunt for Bengal tigers, just because you guys want to, doesn't mean if it's the law or not, basically. So
no,
yeah.
Well, this is a mad thing, yeah, Pat. The amount of people I've spoken to over the last week, and I've said to them a simple question: City feel that the rule that is currently in place is unlawful, is incompatible with English law, right? Therefore, if City have found right and it is incompatible with English law, you agree that the rule needs to be removed / amended to make it compliant with English law. The amount of people have said no. I'm just like, what? You think we should just have rules in the game which are just like unlawful? It's actually crazy, bro. I'm sat in him like, what is going on? People
Is
are
that just
literally gone wild.
is that just proof of how bad the tribalism now is between fans and clubs?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
willing to
it
bend.
is. It's
They're willing to
pure
bend common
tribalism, man. It's
sense,
pure
the narrative,
tribalism.
reality, the whole lot. Yeah.
Facts, bro. And I think what City will be trying to find out as well is, has that tribalism infested its way into the Premier League? And if they got themselves into a position where like they just are tunnel sighted. I don't know if any of you guys have been like looking at the post office inquiry that's gone on in the UK.
Yeah.
Mad case, yeah. Basically, all these people who run the post offices, they all got called liars and thieves. And in the post office, it's very complicated, but essentially there's a lot of people in there who thought legit that they were just stealing, right? Because they were tunnel sighted. Now there's a lot of other stuff going on, right? But effectively, there's a lot of people thinking that these people are thieves, and they never considered the possibility of something else being wrong. Now, in that case, the system was wrong, not the people. The actual computer was wrong. But when people get tunnel visioned, when people get tunnel sighted, and by the way, we all do this with all aspects of our lives. You know what I mean? Politics, football, food that you eat, anything. You get tunnel visioned on this is the right thing to do. This is the right thing to do. It's very difficult for you to sit back and say, let me just reassess. Actually, my whole life I thought this is the case. I'm now going to sit back and reassess the whole situation. And even if you was to do that, you can't really do it with like non-bias because you're still going to be tunnel visioned. And the question is, has that tunnel vision gone into the Premier League, and is that why they've got us?
Well, the tunnel vision I think has gone into the Premier League, because for me the associated party transaction rule of 2021 is just a product of the tunnel vision. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a product of Manchester City and these types of ownership from the Gulf, as City have said themselves, are bad. These are bad people that are coming in to ruin our game. So when Newcastle come along, they get their takeover. The Geordies are buzzing. The Premier League go, whoa, we've seen your kind before. We know exactly what you're about. We're not allowing another one of you lot to come in here with all your cash and start ruining the place. Our tunnel vision says, no, we're making an associated party transaction rule. So essentially your takeover is as close to null and void as possible. You cannot spend the wealth that you originally thought you had. And then I think, look, with the tunnel vision in the Premier League, we're going to learn a lot about that from the messages and emails that get disclosed over time. But I mean, you only have to look at the tunnel vision amongst fans and content creators. You only have to look at one show on this platform where there's no City representative and they're talking about this topic. And the majority of people from my case study have said along the same lines of, well, I don't know much about it, but they're cheating bastards. I don't know much about it, but they must have done something dodgy. I don't know much about it, but you only have to look at this, that, and the other, and you know they've cheated.
And you know why? It's because this is all influenced by, these big media outlets, like TalkSport and the Overlap. If people don't read, and they've got these so-called experts, who are coming out and saying, oh, City have done this and City have done that. People are just inclined to believe it.
Hence, how much nonsense do we hear about the Court of Arbitration hearing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, listen, it's like the amount of times I hear so much nonsense about that case, and I'm like, bro, it's literally. And the thing is, I don't expect people to read it who are not City fans. Why would you? You know what I mean? Unless like you pop it into like law and all that kind of shit, and you want to read it, or like you actually just genuinely want to know. Why is a Spurs fan going to read a 95-page Court of Arbitration for Sports about City and the Etihad deal? And
but if you don't read it and you don't know the facts, you're not inclined to comment.
No. But Bevel, that comes back to what I think Hugh just said. Then it comes, what are the media saying? The media put out all this nonsense, and of course they're going to believe the media. These are people on TV. A lot of people respect them. A lot of people don't. They're giving out information. I'm just a fan, and I'm not reading a document, and that's what I'm being told. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's like the Everton case when they got deducted those first points, and Jamie Carragher sat there on Sky Sports News and said they've cooperated. What it says that they've cooperated. Why have they got the points? And if you actually read the document, it says for a large part of it, Everton didn't cooperate. So literally getting people on the TV, on the radio, we're giving fake news, yeah, and then people are believing it. People are just going along with it. And then obviously if a City fan says that's not true, they're gonna be like, of course you'd say that. It's like, well, it's not true.
Yeah, because it's appealing to the masses, bro. It's appealing to the masses. Since
Yeah.
the 115 thing first ever dropped, it was the day after we played Spurs away last year. That's exactly when it was. 115 related content and anti-Manchester City content, whether not, I don't just mean content at a YouTube level, people like ourselves, just cameras and a fucking computer saying whatever our opinions are. I'm talking people right high up, journalists, in big newspapers. I read a really horrible article written by a top Irish journalist in an Irish newspaper yesterday, just slating Manchester City because this appeals to the masses. This appeals to those who follow clubs who have been beaten by Manchester City, who have been dethroned by Manchester City. So it's going to appeal. It's where the money's at, it's where the click's at, and it's where your profile is going to grow. If you make content negative related to Manchester City, it's going to do decent numbers, and it's going to appeal to more people than it's not going to appeal to.
Yeah, if you're going to piss off one set of fans but appease 4 or 5 different other club sets of fans, then they're just going to roll with the story.
Oh yeah, 100%. You know what I mean? And it's like, football now. It's becoming not just about football and that. It's about the content game, right? And I'm not talking about the YouTube yet. I'm talking about the big TV companies. How can they maximize content on their platforms, right? There's only so much you can speak about a match. There's only so much you can speak about a goal that's gone in, right? With the added VAR situation, look at the new program we've got now with what's he called, Howard Webb and Michael Owen on Premier League Productions, which everyone's now getting. We've now got half an hour, 1 hour show about VAR decisions. By the way, that's now currently, I think it's on once a month. Guaranteed within 18 months, it's on every weekend. Guaranteed, it's on every weekend. I've seen Sky Sports News in the UK. I don't know about Hugh and Pat. Bevel has seen it. Every Monday, Sky Sports News between like 10 and 11, referee hour. Dermot Gallagher comes on. All they do is spend an hour reviewing every single referee decision. They're trying to maximize content. And with the financial fair play rules, they're literally so excited and they're so buzzing about it because it's not just City, by the way. They've got Everton to speak about. They've got Forest to speak about. They've now got all these teams that now have to sell play. It gives them so much stuff to talk about. That's why they all love it. That's why the media companies all love it. That's why when anyone ever suggests to them on these platforms, what about if we did just scrap it? No, we could not. No. All the teams would go bust. Can I ask you a question? Genuine question. How many Premier League teams before FFP went bust in the Premier League?
None.
Bro, I'm literally sat here going, I know Leeds got a bit screwed, yeah, but they didn't go bust. They're still around.
Yeah.
How many actually went bust?
Portsmouth had a little bit of a rough one, but that was more them with heavy.
That was but they also got a crap owner. Again, whenever people always say, "Yeah, look at Berry, look at this, look at that," I say every single one that you just mentioned has not been because of maybe reckless spending. Maybe part of it is it's all come down to the owner. Berry, that wasn't a spend issue. That was the owner. That was the owner. Reading, that's not a spend issue. That's the owner. And there's been various other ones in football and some before my time where usually it's the owner. You know what I mean?
They're trying to regulate something that never
FFP
had to be regulated in the first place.
Since the FFP was introduced, we've had more issues regarding the finances of clubs than we did beforehand. We're now seeing situations whereby we're getting news the other day that 6 Premier League clubs have to sell some of their top assets to avoid penalisation, to avoid receiving charges by the end of June. That's anti-competitive. How are you telling me that 6 Premier League clubs in what we call the greatest league in the world, the most competitive league in the world, have to sell some of their best players to avoid breaching financial fair play? How are you telling me Newcastle, who've just played in the Champions League, Villa, who've just qualified for the Champions League, Leicester, who've just come into the Premier League, and so on and so forth, have to sell some of their top assets to avoid receiving penalization? It's totally anti-competitive. You're seeing positions whereby Villa, who finished just behind Liverpool in the Premier League. We're now talking about some of Villa's best players going to play for Liverpool, who finished just above them in the league. That's not normal. Villa should not feel in a position where they have to sell their best players to one of the three teams above them. Villa should be in a position right now where they're saying we need to strengthen. How do we catch these guys further? How do we give ourselves the best chance in Europe? Newcastle should be saying, right, we got knocked out the group stages last year. How do we get back into it? Or how do we go further next time? Instead, we're telling them you must sell. Sorry, it does not make sense. You're telling me Everton, who spend 20 million more than they're told they could spend. Imagine telling a businessman and an organization what they can spend. You're telling me Everton, who spend 20 million more than they were told they can spend, receive the points deduction. Is 20 million more than they were told they can spend going to bust Everton Football Club? No, it's not. No, it's not. It's just, we've now made a world whereby it's as black and white as either you stick to the rules and you spend what you earn, or else we have a Wild West. And City aren't asking for a Wild West, whereby everybody can spend whatever they want. City are saying it shouldn't be as black and white as that. There should be a middle ground, whereby you have either, I don't know, something like audits every 6 to 12 months, or you have to show proof that you're sustaining correctly, or you're protecting your club correctly and efficiently, and not just, like I said, Wild West spending. It's totally unfair, bros. Like,
and you again, the punishment
like other countries.
Absolutely, mate. And the punishment should suit basically what the crime is. So I've always said that I've never agreed with Everton and Forest getting a points deduction for something that happens financially. If they're going to breach the rules financially, then they need to be punished financially.
Yeah, but their argument to that though, Pat, is by breaching it financially, you've had an on-field like sporting advantage because you bought players that you shouldn't have bought.
I suppose so, but like,
which is fair. Which is a fair shout.
But part of me goes back to thinking about, like, you know, what happened with Juventus and that, where they were basically manipulating games by bribing referees and match officials and that too. So for me, that's where points are more affected, because there is a direct correlation between actually affecting a game. Financially, some teams we've seen can spend absolute millions and go absolutely nowhere. Forest, you know, paid for 30 players and it didn't make a difference. They could have bought 10 players and they could have played better in the league for all we know. So
you know the thing for me though, Pat, is the problem that I have with the Forest case is that they only just survived by like 4 or 5 points or whatever it was. And the points that got knocked off this year, because of course, remember, the points that they got knocked off this year was for last year's finances. I'm pretty sure would have relegated them last year, or put them on goal difference. So effectively, what this Premier League is saying is you shouldn't have stayed in the division last year, which is what you're saying. Hang on a minute. If a club has come up and you're saying that they've spent too much, but now you're saying that they should have got relegated, what hope is there for anyone that gets promoted? And then everyone sat there this year going, how boring is the Premier League that the 3 teams that all got promoted are all getting relegated? Well, hang on a minute. That's what Forest just spent the money. They survived. Congratulations. People will sit there and say, oh, yeah, but some of their signings were ass. Who cares? They stayed in the division.
This is what you were going back to, LB. You know, you were saying about, you know, these teams folding, and it's not because of that. It's because of the owners. If you look at the owners of Forest, you know, they bought 22, 23 new players in at the start of the season before last.
Yeah.
You know, which is where those penalty has come from. And you look at it and you say, well, that's blatantly obvious that they were going to fail financial fair play. You know, they've just bought 2 first 11 teams. So,
but they only just survived.
Exactly.
So Forest's argument, because people will say,
but reckless spending.
But people will say, but Forest was reckless spending, and so they deserve the points deduction. So I'll say, hang on a minute, then that means you're telling them that they should have got relegated. In which case, this is the point I come back to. If a club has come up, if a club has got promoted from the Championship, according to you, overspent and still only just survived, what hope does any team that gets promoted for the Championship have? And then you know what? Gary Neville will go, well, this is why we need a fair deal. This is why we need a fair deal. Oh, nonsense. We need a fair deal. What we need is teams that should be able to invest just like Forest did. At the end of the day, you don't get a free meal around here. It's the Premier League, mate. You want to stay in the division, spend money. You don't want to stay in the division, don't spend money. You get relegated, no problem. You'll go up and down and get the parachute payments. You know, this isn't a nursery. It's not a creche. This is a big-time league. Yeah, for big teams. If you want to be in it, get your checkbook out and spend it. Too many
Yeah.
teams that get promoted to this division are just in the division, happy, yeah, with just coasting along, getting the Premier League revenues, not interested in developing the club, not interested in winning trophies. And you know how I proved that? Look how many teams that don't win trophies. Look at the managers. Look what teams they put out in the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. They don't care. And what they do is they'll spin it. They'll spin this narrative where, oh, we can't win it. We can't win it. We can't win a trophy. No. You're not asked about winning a trophy because all you're bothered about is the money. You're more bothered about finishing 14th than 16th in the Premier League because that for you is worth more money than winning the FA Cup or winning the Carabao Cup. That's the truth. They're all in it for the money. Otherwise, they put proper teams out for the Carabao Cup. Go back and look at some of these teams that have not won a trophy for 20, 30 years. And look at the teams that they put out in the Carabao Cup. Honestly, it's mad. It's actually wild. Let me have a look at some of these super chats, man. The name is still here. The Red Cartel monopoly holders are definitely trying to hold on to the last of their diminishing power. Absolute banter clubs, these lot, says professional. Yeah. Big up to Rustin. I'm going to do a phone show again this week, Rustin, if you want to jump back on, bro. It says the media is so good at setting up plan B narratives for when it's a bad outcome. They want City to be hated regardless of the outcome. Look at English media on their black players after the Iceland game. Well, bro, that's a good point, man. And I say it again, yeah? City have been forced into a corner where they're not asked about their image anywhere because it's already tainted. So they if you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, eventually they're going to hit back. And I think that's where City have got into. And this is why I just laughed when I seen that tweet the other day from some random guy who said City are fastly becoming the most hated club in the Prem. We're already the most hated club in the Prem. If he wasn't the most hated club in the Prem, that's not to say everyone hates us. There are some Newcastle fans and whatever, some people that like us. But the fact is, if City did have a good reputation, if the media would have handled this differently and gone with the innocent until proven guilty, and the fans didn't jump on the back and everyone just assumed we're innocent, maybe they wouldn't have done this case because they would have been like, they would have spoke to the lawyers and thought, is it worth it? If we do this, we're going to get a lot of backlash. Do we need it? Where's this? What's the extra backlash?
The thing is, as well, like, people think that we care. Like, I'm pretty sure that if we were the only 4 people in the stadium, we'd still cheer the same. We'd still cheer the team on exactly the same way as if it was full. Like, we don't care if we're hated or we're not. We're loving it. We're loving the football that we're playing.
Yeah. No, absolutely, I agree. And big up to Tinsay as well. Said City could also be trying a loose end from being investigated twice for 2014 UEFA FFP by the Premier League. If we win this ATP, it could help us just in case. Yeah, listen, I don't fully know what's going on because we don't fully understand what's actually happening. Because what's been leaked by Matt Lawton was not a lot. It was just it was a little bit. But I listen. The one thing I would say is City know what they're doing. City know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like that. By the way, that doesn't mean that they'll win this case. That doesn't mean that they'll win the 115 case. I have no idea what's going to happen. But everything that they do, every decision that they make, will be made with the best legal advice possible. Which again is some reason a bad thing. People saying City have got the best lawyers. Yeah, we've got the best lawyers, and apparently Premier League also have very, very, very good lawyers. Yeah, so stop messing around with that. City will know what they're doing. And like I say, this is what I come back to at the start of the stream. In my opinion, this isn't just City going after this ATP rule. I think there's other stuff that's going on here.
There's something bigger to be gained for City than changing the ATP rule. They want something bigger than the ATP rule. Because as I've already stressed, the ATP rule doesn't actually apply to Manchester City that much anymore. I know they're saying we were suing for damages as a result of this rule and then so on and so forth. We've lost out on some sort of income to a level. It's not going to change City's financial power. It's not going to change the money we're able to spend. It's not going to affect the CFG as an organization if ATP stays the exact same way it is. There's something bigger and more valuable to City, or they believe to be more valuable, to be got out of this case. And I think a lot of it may come down to the disclosing of emails and messages, because if you look at the narratives and I suppose the attention applied to both parties in this situation, the attentions are City are the big bad wolf, City are the bad boys. We all hate Manchester City. They're ruining this brilliant palace, beautiful organization that is the Premier League, run by fantastic individuals, totally competent of doing their jobs. Now, all of a sudden, we're about to learn a bit about these totally competent people in this big palace that is the Premier League, this all right doing business. We're about to learn a bit about these guys' personalities. We're about to learn a bit about these guys' alternative motives, how they feel personally on a level towards Manchester City, and what they are trying to get, where their pressures are coming from regarding this case and the 115. I don't think it's as black and white as City want ATP turned over. If ATP gets turned over, you're welcome, Newcastle. That's there for you. But for us, there's something much more to be gained.
I think as well, if you look at a comparison and put them side by side, the 115 case and this one, I think this one is actually a much bigger case in terms of what the outcome can happen from it. I think if we win this case, it could potentially change the history of English football for the foreseeable future.
No, it will, because it just proves that the Premier League are incapable of implementing legislations and rules that are beneficial to the competition and also abide by UK sporting laws, which is what City are saying they're not doing. City are saying this is anti-UK sporting law, or whatever the correct terminology is. This will affect the image, the jobs, and the structure of the Premier League and who runs it. Do you know what I'm saying? If the Premier League fail in this case against Manchester City, it may not be detrimental, but if they also fail in the 115, all of a sudden everyone's looking at the Premier League going, "You're not capable." Do you know what I'm saying? You guys running this operation, you're simply not capable.
Bro, they're not capable. I think the downfall of
the thing is, LB, the people attacking Manchester City, like even just on a level, the people in the chat attacking Manchester City who call us cheats, they're doing it on the basis that somewhere in their heads they believe the Premier League are capable, the Premier League are competent. Because if you don't believe the Premier League are competent and capable, then there must be wriggle room for Manchester City to be innocent.
Yeah, well, yeah. I agree.
It's because they've been drip fed all of this stuff from the media, like Simon Jordan, like all these people, for such a long time. You know, we're going back over a year now. Like, they've been drip fed all of this bollocks for such a long time that now it's like City are guilty.
Why do you think no opposition fans or media look at it and say, why are City the only team that want an independent regulator?
But they don't see it like that because
numbers.
I think there's a lot of fear mongering, bro. I think there's a lot of fear mongering. Like when you talk about the democracy that is the Premier League and how it's fantastic that we all get a vote. If you're a Palace, if you're a West Ham, if you're someone like that who's just part of the club and you're consistently year in, year out receiving those big Premier League payments just for being part of this VIP club, if you start challenging the rules and regulations that they're implementing to the point where you fight so hard against it, they go, look, if you don't want to agree by these rules, you're not part of the Premier League. All of a sudden, they're sitting there going, fuck. We're losing out on the millions. You mean the club that comes bottom of the Premier League automatically is given 100 million for coming bottom? That's extortionate money in comparison to the rest of world football's domestic football. So if you go against it, you're not getting that money. You're not part of the big VIP club. You're not getting your payments for being part of the Premier League. There's a certain comfort to just being part of the Premier League, going with the flow, letting the big boys at the top collect the trophies, and we'll just stay in the middle here and towards the bottom and collect our big payments and our dividends. Us as CEOs, us as executives will collect our big dividends.
This is why I said last week, sustainability is like this golden word in football, and all the owners love it.
Yes.
Because sustainability means, sorry, fans, we can't buy any players because we have to be sustainable. Yeah. What's that mean? The money's in their pocket, bro.
Yes. But you're not sustainable. You're not guaranteed sustainability if you start challenging the rules and regulations allowing you to be sustainable.
Exactly. Because then what'll happen? Fans will say, spend the money. Spend the money. You've got the money. 17 out of the 20 owners in this Premier League apparently are billionaires. So they can all spend money. Let's get it right, yeah? Everyone can spend money in this league. The clubs that don't spend money is because the owners don't want to spend money. Nothing to do with fans, because the owners don't want to spend money. If the owners have a reason not to spend money, it's because of limits, then that money's not going anywhere. Now, if they say, oh, we can't spend money on the players because of sustainability, but we are allowed to spend it on the stadium and infrastructure, if we're going to do that, fair play, got no problem with that. How many actual clubs are going to do that? How many clubs are going to go, you know what? We've reached the most. Because obviously with this rule, you can invest into the club. You can invest into a stadium. That there's no limit on that. How many of these owners are going to do that? If an owner goes, oh, we've reached a limit on the money that we can spend on transfers and wages. So all this extra money that we've got that I'm willing to put into the club, I will build a new stadium. We'll upgrade the training ground. We'll lower the ticket prices, whatever. No problem with that. How many of those owners are going to do that?
None, because if you look at it realistically, if you have a team, say, that comes up from the Championship, say like Burnley, for example, and they're allowed to invest in a whole new stadium and all new training facilities, they're still inevitably going to go up and down because they haven't got the players to back it.
Look at United. Look at United, Bevo. They apparently hit their limit last year. Yeah, that's why they ended up getting like Amrabat on this mad loan and a regular because they couldn't afford no more players. So what did they do with the money? Did they fix the stadium?
No.
Did they fix the leaks?
No.
Or the river, the waterfall that's at that stadium? Did they invest in a new training ground which is falling apart? Did they do any of that? Did they invest in a massive new academy for infrastructure? Like, no, they didn't. Why? Because they don't want to spend the money. And too many fans in this country have been conned into believing that this is some good thing. And like I say, if they do spend the money on the training and all that kind of shit, then I've got no problem with it. It's like, all right, fair dues, you're actually spending the money. But this is the reason why I've always been against a wage cap. Because my point is, where is that money going? If it's being limited, it's not going to the players, and it's not going on new players. Where's that money going? It's not going to go to you fans. You're not going to get season ticket discount, mate. They're not going to go 1 year. Oh, you know what? Sorry, lads, we can't spend any more money, so we're going to slash your season ticket 50%. You're not going to get your kits from 70 quid down to 30 quid because that's what they... No. It's just not happening. And too many fans in this country just believe this nonsense that has been peddled out by the media and by these owners who love sustainability. We've got to be sustainable. Got to protect clubs. How many Premier League clubs have gone bust?
And the other thing is, as well, is, you know, you look at the other side of it and say, okay, there's going to be games going and played over in America. That's actually going to cost fans more money.
By the way, that's going to happen at some point, yeah. I'll just tell you that now. Now, two things. When it does happen, I'll be moaning about it. But if you're American, get to a game, yeah? You're not going to hear me saying don't go, protest it. If it's once in a lifetime opportunity, you might as well go. So don't get it twisted when we're all slagging the decision off if you're American, yeah? Because I want you to go. If City have a Premier League game over there in America, you better go. Yeah.
Because the irony of it is
we're slagging the idea. We're not slagging the people off who are going.
John Henry came out and said that he wants to play games over in New York. But the irony of that is they're going to probably end up playing games at New York City FC Stadium, which guess who it's owned by. So the irony of it is so funny.
Well, Bevo, if you want to go even more into irony, I think a major stakeholder in FSG is actually the New York Times.
Oh, is that who that Tariq works for?
I believe so, yeah. Unless you're mistaking it for the Times over in your part of the world. Yeah,
it's actually crazy, man. Yeah, that's another thing.
It's funny how it all works. It all goes full circle. Yeah.
Oh, they'll start. I mean, FIFA have already put the rule in place, or are putting the rule in place to allow clubs to play abroad. And the only one that's like not been involved is Bundesliga, because you know the Germans just wouldn't accept it. You know what I mean? The Germans, man, they will kick off. But if you go on like FIFA's website, it's like our strategies to make the game fully global. It's like, well, it already is global. So what do you mean by more fully global? What you're on about? It's obvious what they mean. Read between the lines, man. We want to make football more global. What are you talking about, bro? Every country plays football. We've got a World Cup. We've got Club World Cup. We've got Euro. What are you talking about? They're obviously trying to get these games to different countries, bro. Because you know what's happening? Look at what's going on with the boxing.
But who's it going to benefit? Bro. It's not going to be, the money's not going to be put back into the clubs.
Well, the money will go to the club, but it'll go to the owner. The owners will obviously, the revenue will grow the club, and that means the club's worth more money, hence benefiting the owner. We'll get games played in Saudi. We'll get games probably played in the UAE and Abu Dhabi. I'm not just sending for Saudi. We'll get games played in America, and you know it's going to happen, man. 100%.
And you got to look at what games are going to be played over this as well too, because these big billionaires will be doing everything to try and get a Spurs against Liverpool at, say, Yankee Stadium or something like that. Because I can tell you right now, there is no chance in hell they're going to be able to get, say, I don't know, like a Brentford against Forest or something like that, because that's not going to feel like Yankee Stadium. They'll want the big matches over there.
Oh yeah.
With all due respect to Forest and Brentford, of course, but
Well, that's what they've done with Spain, isn't it? Spain have sent over the Spanish Cup finals to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, they've already done it.
It's already happening, man. It's already happening.
They've already done it. You know, this is.
I think it makes it worse when it becomes a Premier League game, though, because then who doesn't have the home advantage, which then is again against UK competition.
Is it really a home advantage?
Well,
it's a neutral, whichever way you look at it. Yeah.
So then someone will have an advantage when they have the return leg. It'll be at their ground. So it's
yeah. Now, in fact, look at this comment here. Yeah, look at this. This is on a FIFA website, mate. Yeah. FIFA's vision is to make football truly global, diverse, and inclusive for the benefit of the world. Now, you read this, not really knowing fully what's going on in the world. You probably think, oh, yeah, that's a fair comment. Yeah, I look at that comment and think, you're sinister, bro. Yeah. This guy, yeah, I think this guy's a snake, mate. I actually think he's a snaky guy, this Gianni. This guy, yeah. Look at that smile, bro. Nah. I think the guy's a snake. Look at this. Gianni's presidency has focused on bringing wide-range reforms to FIFA. Yeah, I'd never trust that FIFA again after what I've seen on that Netflix documentary, bro. Yeah, chance.
How about wide-ranging reforms to their bloody board?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. They're all in it. They're all in it for themselves, mate. They're all in it for themselves.
Mate, I'm not going to get ticked off about when they say things like that, because if they truly wanted to globalize the game, then why aren't they, with the money that FIFA has, why aren't they spending more of that money actually investing in trying to develop local leagues all around the world? You know, the A-League here in Australia has been dying for proper funding, and we just get absolutely nothing, partly because people just don't want to get involved, and also too because it's created a culture where it's very much the football code. So like your Aussie rules, your rugby league and rugby union are all against football in Australia. And that's been a narrative for decades, for generations, basically. And if FIFA truly wanted to do something about it, they would try and help and invest more in trying to actually help grassroots football in Australia.
Yeah,
because it is a great game over here. It just never gets a spotlight like all the rugby codes do.
Nah, listen, man. I seen it, bro. When I watched that documentary, I don't know if you guys seen that FIFA documentary about the World Cups and that, and how it was so corruptive. If you're trying to tell me, oh no, it's all fine now. Oh, you think I'm 12 years old? You think there's deep-rooted corruption in an organization? Yeah, deep-rooted corruption. You think I just believe all of a sudden it's all fine? Oh, don't worry, now we've cleaned it all up. No. In my opinion, yeah. If a business or a corporation has that much corruption going on and dodgy shit, you think I believe that it's just going to be clean overnight? No chance. No chance. Yeah, today I feel corrupted, says Dash. It's facts, bro. Honestly, man.
Yeah. But this is another reason why it would be almost impossible, I think, for Australia to get a World Cup, because you know FIFA's target for World Cups is obviously developing countries, because they're willing to spend billions and billions of dollars, pounds, sterling, whatever you want to call it, because they know that they're willing to spend all that money to get their country on the global map, to get globally recognized. Australia's always going to be behind that because we already have the infrastructure in place. Great stadiums. We've hosted Olympics. We're going to be hosting another Olympics in about 8 years' time as well. So we've got that infrastructure in place, and we're not going to spend as much money that's going to end up in the coffers of FIFA. So that's why we're always going to be handicapped. That's why Saudi Arabia was always going to get ahead of us for 2034, because they're ready to spend tens of billions of pounds on new stadiums, which we don't even know if they're going to be used after that World Cup. But I can guarantee you, if Australia hosted a World Cup, not only would it be an absolute spectacle, but those stadiums will continue being used week in, week out for all types of sport. But that's the thing. Even though they're not going to get as much money out of Australia as they would a developing country, and that's why we're always going to be. That's why we're always going to be handicapped when it comes to going for
no, absolutely, bro. You know for a fact, you're absolutely right, man. There's 100% be one there, but you ain't ever going to get it because you're not going to spend the money that other countries would, and that's what it's all about. It's all about the money. It's all about money, and because you ain't going to spend the money in Australia, on building these big new stadiums and all this new crap and all these funding programs that they probably want now. You're not going to get it, and this is why. Oh, they'll give it Germany or they'll give it England or Germany or France a token gesture every decade. No.
Yeah,
no,
to save face. Yeah, to say
of course
like,
they
we have
are.
a soul.
Yeah, because when they go, when someone questions them on it and says, "Hang on a minute, look at all the countries that you've been giving them. It's all the countries that are spending all the big cash on it." And they go, "Oh yeah, I want to look about this country. Ha, busted." No. Again, we're not 12 years old, mate. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. And by the way, now it's no surprise to me that we got all these multi-country hosts. You think they're spreading the cost? You think, it's same price, spread the cost, new deal, great deal. You know what I mean? Like Klarna, you can pay over 12 months. No, it's the charging more, mate.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted, bro. You know this one in Mexico and the US, yeah? You think they got the split price? You think they got a discount? No. More countries equals more money. It's mad. But what can we do about it? Now, I can sit here to 665 people on YouTube moaning about it. But listen, lads, even if every single one of us turned out up at FIFA tomorrow, there's nothing that we can do, boys. There's nothing.
I know we sort of sidetracked away from what we're talking about with City there just for a minute, but it all has a correlation.
It's all interlinked, the matrix, bro.
Now, I just wanted to quickly quote something before because we're talking about obviously wondering what City's got planned in the pipelines, because I think there's something more at work here than what we're dealing with right now with this whole APT thing, whatever it is. And I want to use a quote saying, they said the quiet ones usually the quiet ones are usually the most dangerous. So the quiet ones normally do not tell people what they're thinking, therefore no one truly understands what they're thinking. And for that reason, because people don't understand what's happening, what's going on behind the scenes at City, they fear it. And when they fear it, that's when they start attacking. Because they can't attack Khaldoon, they can't attack Mansour directly. These guys might have social media. They probably have 50 burner accounts for all we know, but no one truly knows who they are. So who are they going to go for? They're going to go for the fans. They're going to go for the ones who are on social media, who create content, because we're the closest that they can come to actually voicing their opinions and voicing, their hate towards the club. They may not hate the fans themselves, but the fans are the most direct way of expressing how much they hate our club.
So, Hugh, was you going to say something then? Or no?
No, I was listening.
Let's have a look at some of these super chat. Yeah, good comment that, by the way, Pat. Big up to Exploring with Paul. Come on, man. Regarding the charges, how can we be charged for something in 2009 when FFP in the Premier League didn't start till 2011? What was we charged for in 2009? I thought. Or was it 2000?
I think it was 2000.
2012, really, when the first FFP regulations were sort of implemented.
I think actually though, Paul, there's different rules. There's different things that we've broken. One of them is that we've not been. Basically, I think what people are saying is we was paying Mancini off the books, so that doesn't matter about FFP because you can't do that. You know what I mean? You've got to disclose accurate financial information, so it doesn't really matter about FFP in that case. But again, unfortunately, whilst we have a brief outline of the rules that we broke, because you can check it, you can correlate it with the Premier League handbook, we don't fully understand what rules we've broken because they've never told us. They've just sort of said, these are the rules. No one actually knows. So, but again, Paul, on stuff like that, I just back that the club know how to sort of argue stuff like that. Remember when FIFA and EA had a legal battle over FIFA wanting more free money just for having their name on the game? The premise corrupt us those FIFA lot for money. Facts. 100%. Did you see the same snake? Gianni. Did you see this snake the other week talking about, we've got a new game partner. It's going to be amazing. There's only one football game that you can play and it's got to be called FIFA. It's like, the guy's such a snake, man. Honestly, I ain't got enough time for this guy. Not that he needs time for me, but I mean, I just think that some people, you can just tell a million miles off, man, that something dodgy about him, You can tell sometimes, can't you? See, you get a feel. I seen the clip going around the other day and I was just like, what is he waffling about? And by the way, that's actually spot on, yeah. FIFA's I'm pretty sure it's a non-profit organization. So why are they always so bothered?
They claim to be. They claim to be.
Yeah, so why are they so bothered about money then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're non-profit. What are you fucking moaning about then?
Well, they're a non-profit with several billion in the bank because it's apparently a reserve.
A reserve. Give me 7 billion in the account for a reserve.
Yeah. Sepp Blatter said that in an interview a few years back.
To float
You can
petty
bring it
cash.
up.
50 quid come the end of the month that's a reserve.
It's mad, isn't it? You know what I mean? Right, okie dokie. Anything else you guys wanted to? Yeah, this is interesting. Check this out. This is literally just exclusive 9 minutes ago. Let me bring it up on screen for you guys. The Premier League spent approaching £30 million on legal counsel in actions against its own clubs last season. It represents a startling escalation of costs to implement the new profit sustainability rules. Apparently, 3 years ago, those costs were 5 mil. So the whole Premier League legal bill for a full year was 5 million quid, which actually, for the Premier League, it actually seems quite low for like everything it probably has to do. It's gone up now to 30 million. And by the way, that's only going to get worse.
Well, that's why I said it's only created more problems since they've implemented these rules. It's only created.
Anyone see the irony in that? They spent 30 million on legal because they had a problem with Everton spending more than 20.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, that's actually mad. And you know what? It's probably going to, like you said, it's going to get worse. Yeah, not only because like City are challenging everything. If City are now successful in this case that they've challenged, how many other clubs are going to go, well, hang on a minute, there's another rule that I don't like, or there's another rule that I don't like. There's probably loads of rules in the handbook, or like loads of stuff that goes on just generally in the Premier League that teams don't like. Then they probably just go, oh, sack it. If City win this case, which again is unlikely apparently, if City do win it, then how many other teams are going to go, well, they've just won that case, and that's quite big for them. There's a rule here that we don't like. We don't think it's right. We're going to challenge that.
Well, it's about time. Maybe it's about time that Premier League actually has to start dealing with the problems that they've created themselves, basically.
Let me ask you a question.
That's
put the ball in their court, and they're going to have to deal with it. Maybe it's been too long that they've just been cruising along, sort of supporting, with the support of this red cartel, sooner or later. So somebody's going to stand up, and it's now been in the form of Manchester City and Newcastle, with a little bit of help from Villa and Chelsea and that, who are basically turning around and saying, what you're doing here is we're basically coming in now to sort of buck this whole trend of this whole, sort of red cartel with a little bit of Tottenham in there as well. You need to, it took a long time. It took over 30 years, but finally it looks like somebody's actually going to stand up against this so-called sort of establishment that is influenced by these big four clubs and has been for the last 30 years. And I think I don't think they like it. And I think Premier League is sort of backtracking a lot of things that they've said and done over the last 18 24 months, basically.
Well, they created a rod for their own back, bro, because these rules, I mean, let's be honest, yeah. When these rules were first introduced, this was always the end goal, or the end. This was always going to happen. If you bring in such restrictive rules, billionaires are not just going to go, "Oh yeah, no worries, lads." There's always going to be clubs trying to find a way around it. Always, yeah. Maybe City will find out. Maybe teams will start selling hotels and say, "Look, we sold a hotel to ourselves," and they get away with it. There's always going to be, these are billionaires, man. This is what they do. They get the best lawyers, they get the best accountants, and they'll try and find ways around the rules. Yeah, because they can do that. And eventually, it was always going to end up in court cases. Now, the question is this the end? Is it actually going to get worse? But check this out as well. Big up to Stefan, who's just put this on Twitter. Just comment on that. Check this out. There is no equality of arms in these cases. So again, to all these mutants out there who are saying City are massively like outspending the Premier League or whatever, maybe they're outspending them, but they've both got quality lawyers acting for both sides. When it comes to the regulator, that is quite interesting. I didn't know that. Did you guys know that? The independent football regulator annual budget would be £10 million. So if we do get an independent regulator, who handles these cases? Because people are not happy that it's an independent commission, right? People are saying it's not right that it's an independent commission, which I find quite strange, actually, that people actually say that. Surely you'd want an independent commission. But if you're spending that much money, where's that money coming from? So strange. And again, yeah, you know what? This is facts. What a waste of money that is. What a waste of money that is.
So Premier League's budget for an independent regulator is 10 million.
That's what apparently it's saying.
This is where the
But you know, if the
hypocrisy
clubs are involved with getting an actual proper independent regulator, not one that's actually sanctioned by the Premier League, you know for a fact, I'm sure a lot of Premier League clubs would be willing to actually fund a lot more money into actually having a proper independent regulator, or at least the clubs we know that are on board with doing that.
This is where the hypocrisy lies, though, as well. You know,
Yeah.
they're saying about, oh, what a waste of money. Well, that's money that can be invested back into grassroots football.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
But
now they're
apparently,
saying-
Naughty City are the reasons why the money isn't going into grassroots football.
Yeah, it's just the reason is because they don't want to pay as much money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't want to pay the money. They don't want to pay the money because it all comes back to money. The reason why, it's quite simple. The reason why there's no deal with the EFL is because they're not giving the EFL enough money. Sorry to break it to you. It's that simple. Why else would it not be? What? The EFL are not happy with the payment method? The Premier League was going to send it by cheque and they want bank transfer? No, it's not because of that, lads. It's because they want more money. And the clubs in the Premier League, maybe including City, who knows, don't want to give them the money. They want more money. So it's all about money, 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 money. Because Andrew just sends a £2 donation. I appreciate you, bro. Anything you guys want to say, man, before we close up? Good rant tonight.
Just you're talking about, you know, the cash documents before. Well, Martin's got it into his head that he thinks that it'd be great content to read all 93 pages of it this time tomorrow night. So if anybody's up for a good,
why is
good
he
sleep,
doing that?
I don't know. He's that passionate about getting the truth across, that anything, you know, everything that's been said by the media and
what he could do, Joe,
media content creators. I think he's doing it. I think he's doing it to basically sort of counter argument.
Yeah, but that'll take him hours,
yesterday,
man.
so.
It's 95 pages long. If you tell him to go to Stefan's Twitter account, Stefan done a thread like a week ago with all the major points from the cast document. Go
You're
through
gonna
that,
have to take it up with him, bro. He's got it in his head. He's going to do like a full story time. You know, and I don't know whether to help him out and just do a bit of fluffy microphone like ASMR sort of.
Yeah, but you know what?
In the background, just to make it easier for everybody out there, because I don't know, he's passionate about it, so you got to give him fair play.
Yeah, but you know, there's definitely a couple of things in that cast document that I read, and I was like, yeah, that seemed a bit dodgy from City. That, and then imagine him reading that out on stream, and he's just like, we'll just gloss over that part.
Yeah, there were some words in there I didn't even understand what they meant.
Yeah, no, that when I read that cast document,
oh mate, if it gets past 3 or 4 syllables, I'm struggling.
Nah, it is pure interesting, though, that cast document, because I mean, like, there was one part where CAS ripped apart UEFA. And they basically said, I can't remember the exact words, but they basically said this allegation from UEFA is horrendous and dangerous.
Yeah. Almost like, I can't remember the correct wording, but it was almost like, as they said, like it was like a witch hunt on City.
Yeah, they basically just cooked him. And listen, there was parts in there that they were like, yeah, we don't know what City are doing here. This is weird. But like, I read it and I was just like, this is actually pretty mad. You know what I mean? I literally next day stuck suits on and watched the whole series again, man. Because when you get into all that lawyer stuff, it's mega, mate. But if I could go back now and do school again, yeah, I'd actually try, and I'd try and become a lawyer, man. I think it's a great gig. You know what I mean? It just mint. I don't know if you guys watch Corey as well. You got Adam Barlow. He's a lawyer. He's got a pretty good life. You know what I mean? Little local solicitor's firm, man. It's decent. Anyway, I think we've been pretty much done. Unless anyone in the chat. Anyone in the chat got a little Q&A before we wrap up, guys? Little 2-minute Q&A. If you got any questions for us guys, yeah. But I ended up here doing YouTube, sitting here ranting about Gianni Infantino, calling him a fraud and a snake.
I don't know if I can imagine you being a lawyer though. You know, we find the defender guilty, and you just be like, "No way, bro! No way."
Yeah,
appeal, bro, appeal.
we talking about, bro? Yeah. And I imagine if I did school properly, went to uni, I probably wouldn't speak like this. So who knows?
Imagine what you sounded like if you'd actually moved out to Australia too, bro.
I know. It would have
been,
It would have been crazy. Maybe
amazing these sliding doors where they could have taken you just one.
I could be you right now. Thank God that didn't happen.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh, sorry, man. I'm sorry. That was just too easy. It was too easy. Right, let's have a look at some of these questions in the chat before we end. transfer talk. Have you guys seen the news about Kimmich? I thought the chat was baiting me this morning, but it's actually true. Apparently, Bayern Munich are open to selling him. What are they doing?
We'd be mad to not go for that, especially 25 million euro.
Is that true? Where is who said 25 mil?
25, what is
I don't know. It's just what I've seen circulating.
That's wild, mate. What are they doing? How are they selling Kimmich for 25
Agent
mil?
Vinny
Who
doing his
said
work.
this? Who said
That's
this?
Agent, that's Agent Vinny doing his work, mate.
I
The
know,
Kimmich
I know.
merry-go-round is just boring at this stage, mate. Like, one week you hear they're open to selling him and he wants to go. The next week he's not going anywhere. Like, who's even saying this?
But nah, Plettenberg
Because-
said that they want to sell him. Well, not want to sell him. They said basically, unless he signs a new deal, he's gone. He's only got 1 year left in the deal.
You can't say it's been a slow news week in Germany because they're all getting hyped for the Euros.
Yeah, maybe
Why do you not want
company's
Kimmich?
doing a favour, man.
Do you not want Kimmich, bro?
Oh God, yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I would have liked Kimmich from 4 or 5 years ago, but still, absolute
29 now?
baller. I mean, 25 million. It is the most perfect low cost, high reward signing you can make.
I agree.
Like it's like Kovacic signing, but 10 times better.
Yeah,
And you know for a fact that the thing that most appeals to me is there is no player. Every player we signed within reason had a justifiable excuse to maybe need a season to bed in under Pep. Ruben Diaz may be the exception to the rule, but I think defenders under Pep's system are a lot different than midfielders and attackers. Joshua Kimmich will not need that season to bed in. He's the reason he became as successful as he was when he was in the development stage of his senior career was under Pep. He knows how Pep works. He would hit the ground running, and he would be a perfect signing. Now, me personally, I'd like to think that when we get new signings, we're thinking more 5 to 10 years. 5 to 10 years down the line, they're still going to be a successful player. But sometimes you need that veteran presence, and you need that. You need a bit more of a senior establishment in certain roles. And Joshua Kimmich would do that. And not that too. What's the main thing about our squad as well, where people think that our squad is 25 men? Well, it is 25 men, but we basically put 14 on there all throughout the season. It's because of the versatility. The fact that we're able to rotate those players so well, and Joshua Kimmich fits that absolutely perfectly. You need to rest Walker. We can play a bit of right back. You need to rest Rodri.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, sorry. We need to rest Rodri. We need to rest. We need to rest De Bruyne. Even he can cover so many different roles.
Yeah, I'd love him. The only thing that kind of not puts doubt in my mind, but there's only ever been one player in the past which Pep has signed from his previous club. Now, little question for you guys on the chat: who was that player?
Thiago.
It was Thiago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
He's only
I have
ever
heard
signed
that.
one
I think
player.
I've heard that before, though. To be fair,
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
but Kimmich wants to leave, and we need a player in his position.
Yeah.
I just think it's a no-brainer.
I
And
think
I know what
it's
you're saying.
no.
Go on, Hugh. What are you saying?
I still prefer Bruno for me. I wouldn't be.
Why?
Oh man,
Why
I
would
want both. I'm greedy. I want both.
Let me ask you that question. What do you like more about Bruno? Is it just his age?
I look at Bruno's the whole package that comes with Bruno. I think he offers versatility the same way Kimmich does. It's his age as well. He's younger. He's Premier League proven, and how reliable he is. Bruno played 50 games for Newcastle last season. Didn't miss a single one through injury. Missed one game through yellow card suspension. He'll give Rodri that backup. He can push forward and play into an 8. He can play in a pivot as well. And I'm sure Pep would have all sorts of plans for him. Do I think he's a £100 million player? No, I don't. Do I think Declan Rice is a £100 million player? No, I don't. But I'd be happy to spend 60 to 80 on Bruno. But even if it did come to 100, I'd say that extra 20 to 30 million you're spending on top of what he's actually probably worth is worth it for me in the long grass for simply protecting Rodri. Protecting Rodri. He's a guaranteed enforcer, Premier League proven number 6 who'll do a solid job when needs be. I think Bruno is the must signing this summer. Wouldn't be upset with Kimmich. Absolutely wouldn't be. I rate Kimmich highly. But Bruno will be top of my goddamn list this summer. Go and get him. I think he's the next best thing down from Declan Rice that we could have done.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a poll in the chat. Bruno or Kimmich?
Yeah,
Bevel,
I agree with you, but I'm going one better and saying I'm being greedy. I'd have both.
Yeah, but if you get both of them, you have to get rid of Kovacic or Nunes, maybe both of them. You can't keep both of them.
Well, there is every possibility that could happen. So
no, I know there's a possibility.
I'm just thinking more ahead. I'm just thinking more ahead because I'm more on board with we need to increase the squad just a little bit. You know, if they're talking about if we make the cup final in all competitions next season, we're talking 75 games. Plus, there is a few international breaks coming up in, I believe, October, November, and March.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of stress on that squad. I know Rodri is the focus. He's the prime focus. But we did see a few more players going down with injuries this season compared to the treble season. And I can't help but feel that if we don't just bolster the numbers by a little bit, 10, 20%, then I think we're just we're running the risk of having a few more long-term injuries. I think workload is a big thing right now, and I think a combination of last season signings and any signings we make this summer are going to be really important in terms of the long-term health for our more established players.
Mm. Yeah, Bevel, which one would you prefer if you could only get one? The poll in the chat, by the way, is pretty close. There's only 60 of you voted, so get voted in the chat.
So for me, because it's not my money, I'd go for Bruno. The reason I'd go for Bruno is what Pat said. The longevity of him, you get more years out of him. But I think you also look at the other side of it and you match it up and say, okay, well, Kimmich has got the versatility that Bruno has. But I think Bruno offers you more in terms of work rate. Now, that's not to say that Kimmich doesn't run, but I think Bruno offers, he ran the most miles in the Premier League last season. And I think that's also a good option for if Bernardo Silva leaves as well. Bernardo Silva's work rate is incredible. He runs and runs and runs. He just doesn't stop. And I think that having Bruno in there as a sort of safety net, if Bernardo did leave, then we've also got the Bernardo side of it as well with the work rate.
Yeah, I don't know, man. For me, I think I go Kimmich just because I think it's just like. I just think it's better for the here and now, like right now, personally. But
what about Griezmann?
Bro, I said Griezmann the other day, man. If Alvarez leaves, I'm taking Griezmann 12 mil.
It's a polarizing one, Griezmann, man. I said that in one of my group chats after you said it because I back it. I was like, I'd take Griezmann at City, and people were like, bro, he's 34 in March or some shit like that. And
that's why it's 12 mil.
That's what I'm saying. I back it. He's
been one of the best players in La Liga this year.
Oh, how's he still starting and one of the most important players for France? Do you know what I'm saying? How's he still doing it for them? He'd be sick for us.
The only one I got cooked on was João Felix.
Yeah, I'm not here for that one, to be honest.
I get this feeling. João Felix is a quality player, but the problem is, I think the players that quality of player has been playing in the wrong system for way too long under Simeone.
I
would have loved to have seen him if he'd done a few years under a more like a manager that suits his playing style a little bit more, whether it be Pep or Ancelotti or even one of the other Italian managers or something like that. I just think he would have been a lot more of a formidable player.
Imagine us playing
because they played negative football for so many years, and he was so reliant on trying to be a counter-attacking player. I just don't know. I just think he's more of a player than that.
Talking about Portuguese players, did you see Bernardo Silva's comments on João Neves?
Yeah.
Saying that it would be great if he could play alongside him at City.
I don't think we're getting him.
That kind of tells me, though, that Bernardo's probably not going to leave.
Yeah. No, I don't think he's going to leave now either, but I don't think we're going to get him. I think it's going to be Kimmich or Bruno. Which is one of them. I did a watch along of João Neves. I can't remember what game it was, Benfica, and he done all right. It was a Europa League game, and he bossed the midfielders on his own. He wasn't in a double pivot either, which I liked because it showed me that this guy's dominating the European matches at DM. I know it was a Europa League game, but still, to do it at that level, I was like, that's pretty impressive to be fair at his age. But I just don't see it. See it. I think if we're spending 100 million quid, it's on the guy who's prem proven, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I did see those comments. All right, we're going to wrap up, guys. Before we do, let's have a look at some of these chats coming in. Massam says, João Felix gives me Kai Havertz vibes. Meh. Nah, bro, he's clear of Kai Havertz, bro. He is. But I've lost the argument anyway. I've raised it a few times, and I get cooked every time. So I'm not. I
just feel sorry for him because I think he's just a victim of Simeone's anti-football.
Well, yeah, but to be fair, he should never have gone there in the first place.
No.
So you can't. You got to blame him a little bit.
Yeah,
you got to take control of your own career. I mean, the guy knows football. you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Yeah, if you're you just don't do it, innit? You know what I mean? Like you Barcelona don't get Tony Pulis to manage the team because he plays different style. João
He had
Felix
a
should
half
not have.
decent time at Chelsea as well.
Yeah, he done all right. He done it, and then he got a red card, didn't he? And got banned for 3 games. But yeah, LB says Hugh talking facts.
As
earlier on.
always, LB. That's all I do.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, bro. And RGS says Kimmich will be a perfect DM backup while still getting game time in that right back position as well. Could we also get Bruno as well? Well, Pat says, yeah. I've seen quite a few people say we could get him, but if we got them both, you'd have to get rid of Kovacic or Nunes. And you know what? Actually, if we got them both, I'd get rid of Kovacic, not Nunes. Because actually, I think that we don't need Kovacic if you've got Bruno, Rodri, and Kimmich.
There's no room for Kovacic, yeah.
Kovacic becomes, whereas Nunes is different. I'd actually keep Nunes in that situation.
I don't really want that right back cover that desperately, if I'm being honest. I think we have pretty good cover in right back with Stone, Akanji, and Rico Lewis. But Sam Lee also said that we're in the market for a winger this summer. Now, where's that going to leave us? I'm not too sure. So, are City going to go out and get Kimmich, Bruno,
We ain't signing
a winger?
That's
what Sam Lee's saying, right?
We've got Savio coming in anyway.
Yeah, we ain't signing a winger.
Yeah,
We ain't signing a
I
winger.
think
on
we
top
could
of
do
the
a
other,
winger.
Why? What names would you think, though, Hugh?
Vinicius.
Well, yeah, I'd be all over that. Nah, I just don't think we're going to get one. I think Bernardo's going to stay, like Bevel said before. I think Bernardo will stay because no one will buy him, not because he wants to stay. We'll get
Which
Savio.
is crazy, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's smart from City. I think it's smart from City. I think what they've done is when they've renegotiated that contract last summer, they've basically said, right, we'll put a release clause in, but we're not going to make it a release clause where every skink club in Europe is just going to say, yeah, I'll take that straight away. They're basically saying we're going to put 50 million in as a way to say, right, the clubs that want to get you, particularly the Spanish clubs, they need to get their ducks in a row financially if they want to try and sign you. Because I think deep down, I think Bernardo does enjoy playing at City. He enjoys the teammates and he enjoys the club. It's the rest of Manchester that I think he makes him a little bit more homesick.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it's just like he understands. I think he understands his value at the club. He's not. The club's not going to let him go for 10 or 20 million, which is what we're talking about. Barcelona, we're willing to pay, or something like that. But I think City have been smart with this, where they're basically saying, well, we're gonna give teams an opportunity to purchase him, but at the same time, we're not a bloody charity.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Listen, guys, we're gonna send you guys over to Hugh. Hugh's going live now on his channel. What are you speaking about, bro?
Probably transfers, but it's the late night chat, so we kind of shoot the shit. But transfers, maybe a bit about the case because I like talking about the case, but
cool,
general shit.
Right. Well, guys, we'll redirect you over. Before we do, big up Majinder again with a super chat. Says, how is Xabi Alonso as a City manager if Pep leaves next year? Well, I mean, if Pep does leave next year, which I think at the moment it's looking likely, obviously, because his contract is up, Xabi Alonso is going to be someone that is available. Now, whether he's going Real Madrid, I didn't know this until this morning. Carlo Ancelotti's contracted until 2026.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I thought he'd gone at the end of the summer. Now, maybe they'll agree to let him leave a year early. But the way people was going on, I thought he was out of contract at the end of the year. He's not. He's out of contract until 2026. So Xavi's going to be on the list. I don't see company coming City after a year at Bayern. I think he'll be too low to Bayern and give him another year. Other than that, I don't see City going for someone like a Zidane. I don't know.
Carlo.
Do you think there's Carlo?
I'd get Carlo Ancelotti.
I'd fucking love Carlo Ancelotti.
I'd get him tomorrow, bro.
Class, just a class manager.
Bevel don't want it. Bevel, why not want Carlo, man?
To be honest, I think this is the influence of Nobbins saying about look what he did as a manager with that AC Milan team, and I kind of get it. But yeah, I think for City, we need somebody that can have a very, very similar style of play, because we're not just, first team plays like that. It stems from the academy and comes right the way through the club. Pep's got this philosophy of football which has sort of transcended through all of the ages through City. and that goes as far as to partially through the women's team as well. So I think it would be crazy to sort of get a manager that plays completely opposite style of play, where we would then sort of have to sort of take that again through.
All right, then. Well, who would you get then, Bevel? You're not getting Carlo. Can't get Xavi Alonso. Who would you get?
I'd probably, if we can't get Alonso, I'd probably go for someone like Mikel, or however you say it.
But I was just about to say that I think it's really important for City fans to look at Girona next season, because if they're able to go into the market and get the right pieces, because there are going to be some players that will go back to their respective clubs after this season and won't go back to Girona. So it's up to the club and it's up to Michel to get the right pieces in again. And if they are able to have another good La Liga season, I don't know. I think third in the Liga was a little bit of an overstretch. Even though they play quality football, was a little bit of an overstretch. I think if they're still able to stay, if they're able to stay in European spots in La Liga next season, I think City will be monitoring Michel even further. Not saying he'll come in straight after Pep leaves, but I think they'll be monitored.
I watched a few of their games this year doing watch-alongs part, and they are good. He's got them playing some mad ball.
Yeah.
So
I think if he gets the right pieces in, he could be knocking on top 4 of the Liga again next season.
Yeah, interesting. Listen, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Big up for everyone for joining us tonight. Class show, as always. An hour and 33 minutes in as well. So big up to the guys on the panel, Bevel, Pat, and Hugh. Hugh's going live on his channel now, so get you guys redirected there. I'm live tomorrow, midday time, and then live in the evening as well. And obviously the Euro content starts this week as well, guys. So make sure you drop a like on the way out. If you're watching back on replay, get us your thoughts in down below, and make sure you guys go over to Hugh's channel. See you in a bit.